Yeah. Cherish the day. Can't forget. From the late nights, locked down and in solitary, confined to bars of concrete cemetery, hitting souls on a page of lost memories, thoughts and imagery, jail time miseries, goals remembering all the sun stretched in the valley of the shadow of death. Night blows cold breath and we all forget, but remember to cherish the day. I think back to the times that passed and I reminisce, and sometimes I laugh at the more things change, cities staying the same, but still I cherish the day. Cherish the day.
Cherish the day. Cherish.
Yo, flashing back to the days of foul acts when a Jake was running the race, avoiding the traps and pitfalls, life seesaws created by Esau, walking the balance beam and trying not to fall. I done seen it all and put my hands in the dirt too. I ain't no different from you, I ain't on no pedestal. I used to act the fool, from playing sisters, selling weed, holding guns, pulling licks for fun, counterfeit schemes for funds, and I ain't glorifying Nathan. I'm exposing Satan, praying for faith and patience, and I'll repent till my day's end. And that's for real, a Jake ain't playing, know what I'm saying? Got a lot of sins to work off, and I ain't sure I can afford the cost. Give praise to the boss, and continue to strive to resurrect the lost tribe. All praises to the Most High.
Think back to the times that passed and I reminisce, and sometimes I laugh at the more things change, cities staying the same. Same trials, temptations, same stress, same strain. So I meditate on the things that's true. Through it all, I depend on you and thank Christ for the small things. So to God I pray and remember to cherish the day. Cherish the day.
Cherish the day. Not the pleasure or the pain, not the sunshine or the rain. Cherish, cherish the day that he made.
No peace, no lights, no food to make. Posted at the mailbox, checks is late. Niggas break when the times get tucked for sake. But when times get hard, it's the God we pray. The virtue of the Most High flow through the bloodstream. A cane, but stressing trivial things. Sometimes niggas fall, but we still give thanks. Have praise and cherish the day. Cherish the day. Think back to the times that passed and I reminisce, and sometimes I laugh at the more things change, cities staying the same. Same trials, temptations, same stress, same strain. So I meditate on the things that's true. Through it all, I depend on you and thank Christ for the small things. So to God I pray and remember to cherish the day. Cherish the day.
Cherish the day. Not the pleasure or the pain, not the sunshine or the rain. Cherish, cherish the day that he made. We all are witness to the clear blue skies. It ain't no question what's gonna see in hard times. How could we forget for whom the sunshine? Bruised in the head, forgotten names, sunlight, simple life. Where's the little things we left behind? Many existing fade by and by, yeah, yeah. Have you ever took a thought for a day from whence it came? What's so faithful is his name?
Here we go. All right, shalom. Shabbat shalom to everybody in the house and online. Shabbat shalom to everybody. Welcome to another MOTC closing Shabbat class. Today, as you can see the title, let me turn this banner off because we started. If I'm coming in solid and y'all can hear me well, do me a favor, throw 7 in the chat. Shalom to Ashar, Kohath, Shalak, and anyone else who's joining in on the live presently or
You might join in later, whatever the case may be. Shalom to y'all. If I'm coming in clear and y'all can hear me all right, throw a 7 in the chat. Shar, the water. Anybody else? Okay, looks like we all right. Okay, all right, all praises. So we're gonna get right into it, man. We're gonna get right into it. Genesis 3, the start of the ending. Where it all went bad. How did we get to this position that we're in right now? I was looking through our archives of classes. I don't recall us ever going over this. So it's timely. I believe one of the sisters too asked me about this particular chapter. If I'm wrong on it, it was maybe a chapter 2. But either way, we got to do all of them. We got to do both of them. So I'm gonna try to get through as much as I can. It might need to be a part 2 because there's a lot of precepts we need to cover to get this understanding clear. Most of y'all should very well be aware, in particular, y'all in here should know, anybody that's learning online and you're gathering your information and you're trying to break the strongholds of Christianity, you're going to realize that there was a lot of lies being told regarding Genesis 3. Talking snakes, apples, and all kind of madness, people running around butt naked and, covering up with just leaves and all kind of folly we're being taught or was told from Sunday school on up. That this was the beginnings, Adam and Eve, the only 2 people on the earth. There was all kind of things need to be disannulled and abolished out of our minds. We got to unlearn those things and then relearn the righteous things. All right, let's open up that and include the 5th chapter. I think I want verse 12.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 5.
No, I'm sorry. Let me see. Yeah, 12 and 13.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 13. And make straight paths for your feet.
Hebrews 5 and 12.
Salakia. Hebrews chapter 5, verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
For when for the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God.
Right. So this is what we go through is relearning and understanding and getting proper contextual precepted understanding regarding Genesis. So it says, when the time you ought to be teachers, you have neither one teach you again. You can't just jump on YouTube, watch a few YouTube videos, and you flashing out there immediately saying, hey, I'm this great teacher. I'm a leader. I'm an elder. I'm a bishop. I'm this, that, and the third. It don't work that way. All of us have to be relearned and retaught at some point in time in our tenure in this truth. And this is one of the fundamental, understandings that come up out of the scriptures from Genesis 3. We had preconceived notions in our minds, whether you went to church or not. We're trying to get proper understanding according to the scriptures. So we got to relearn and get the right understanding. Read on.
And or become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe.
Right. So this is a Bible that's also known as a sword, and it takes some skill level to swing it, sharpen it, to get it into a position to where it can be utilized as a weapon to heal or to cut. And it takes some time. It says one that uses milk, he's unskillful in the word. So, you can't be a novice at this and then pretend as if you're this great big time old elder because you watched and binged on YouTube videos for 3 weeks straight. It doesn't work that way. All right. So we do things in stages of understanding. Let's jump over to the chapter at hand. Chapter 3. We'll get right into it. Chapter 3. And we're going to read verse 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of the tree of the garden?
So, for all those who have understanding already, don't be like, I know this. Don't tone out. You still might learn something, right? But this is for those who haven't came to a solid understanding regarding what was happening in Genesis 3. Okay, so one thing we see, it says that now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Now, We all should know by now there's no serpent that was slithering around on its belly, rising up, having conversations with grown men and women. Okay. Give me Hosea 12 and 10. And then we're going to get into a little terminology that I want to see if everyone's hip to or not be, or needs to be made aware of. Let's put it that way. Hosea 12 and 10.
The book of Hosea, chapter 12, verse 10. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets.
Right. So the Most High expounds on understanding via similitudes, right? A similitude is like a metaphor or it's like a symbolism of teachings and visions is how the Most High brings forth understanding, okay? So this is something that we have to also take into account. When we're reading in Genesis 3 in the first chapter, this is a similitude. This is not literal. Okay, this is a terminology that they use in literary works called zoomorphism. Has anybody heard of that term before? Zoomorphism? All right. If not, then we need to get an understanding of it. Let me share my screen on that. I'm going to play a quick little video that kind of will break it down very simply and bring some understanding regarding zoomorphism. Okay. Let me blow this up some.
The word zoomorphism derives from the Greek zoon, meaning animal, and morphe, meaning shape or form. It can mean art that imagines humans as non-human animals, art that portrays one species of animal like another species of animal, art that creates patterns using animal imagery, or animal-style deities depicted in animal form, such as exist in ancient Egyptian religion therianthropy, the ability to shapeshift into animal form, attributing animal form or other animal characteristics to anything other than an animal, similar to but broader than anthropomorphism, the tendency of viewing human behavior in terms of the behavior of animals, contrary to anthropomorphism, which views animal or non-animal behavior in human terms.
So, what is this?
Say being Christianity is the right religion and like taking Jesus in. If that is the right thing, but I don't believe it, am I going to hell? And if I don't want to go to hell, should I convert? And if I convert and I do it out of fear,
get out of here, man. Let's get a fundamental understanding. Let me play it one more time. That in the case that went over your head, what'd you get from that?
That, like you said, similitudes using animal more so similar to what they trying to describe.
Right. So, in other words, it's animal characteristics or animal being used for human behavior. Just like when Yahweh said, "Ye generation of vipers." You know, or you could say, man, that guy's strong as an ox. Is he a literal ox? No. Slick as a fox. Is he really an animal? No. The animal is being used as a metaphor to describe the characteristics of an individual, right? That's zoomorphism in short. That's what's being done through this literary work in Genesis 3, you know. Let's get Psalm 58. Psalm 58, 1-3. Now it said the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. And we're also going to see about these beasts because, you know, leave it to Christianity, you're going to think it's all about all the animals in the earth. You're like, there was nobody more subtle than the serpent. You know, the elephant, the jackal, the fox, the lion, the bear, the silverback gorilla. Nobody's more. Why would the Most High be comparing animals dealing with a human problem or a human situation that's jumping off? Right? No, he's not literally talking about these animals. Go ahead with that Psalms 58, 1-3.
The book of Psalms, chapter 58, verse 1. Do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? Yea, in heart ye work wickedness. Ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
Right. So we're seeing the inception of wickedness and lies being brought forth through this serpent or this individual who has serpentine characteristics, right? Give me Matthew 12 and verse 34.
Book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 34. O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things?
Right. So in some terms, we see wisdom being applied to the serpent, because remember, even Christ told us, be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. But then also you see that the serpent can be representations of evil, wicked, and deceit. Right. So in this context, we're talking about a deceitful character, a deceitful individual who is being used in terms of zoomorphism as the snake. We always hear about that, man. Don't trust that guy. He's a snake, man. What do you mean, man? He backstabs. He be talking behind back, man. He stole some money from me. You know, he's a low down, dirty guy, man. He snitched on me, he lied. That's the characteristics of somebody you like, man. I don't want to be around nobody like that. Then they come back around and say, no, I changed, man. I don't do that no more. Or what's a snake do? It sheds the skin, but it's still the same individual, because you give him some more time, he's going to go back and do the same old thing, because that's the character and the nature of this individual. Christ was acknowledging that to the Pharisees. He said, man, you generation of vipers, meaning this is going on for generations, how they were carrying themselves just like snakes. You know, they would pop up, challenging them, questioning them. They never had real sincere, questions of edification. That, the scriptures even say they approached him trying to trip him up, just to be asking. One example of that, stay in Matthew, go to 19. And read one down to 3.
Book of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 1. And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee and came into the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him.
They were doing what?
Tempting him.
Testing him. They didn't care about the well-being of edification for the sheep and for the congregation and for proper edification to come up out of the synagogue. They were just trying to test him and tempt him. That's why Christ was like, man, you generation of vipers, man, y'all think you slick. Go ahead.
Saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
For every cause. They know according to the law that wasn't true. They knew. They said, well, can you put away your wife for every cause? Is any reason? Because let us know so we can, make sure that we can let Israel run wild with these bills of divorce. And Christ is like, you wicked, you know dang well. Save for fornication or adultery, man, it's only because of the hardness of your hearts that Moses allowed this bill of divorce to be written. But y'all know better. How dare you ask about every cause? Even back to Deuteronomy 24, it says if it's a matter of uncleanness, if a man found that, then that was a qualification to bring it forth. That wasn't every cause. The cause was uncleanness. So they knew, but they were being serpentine in their nature. They wasn't being upfront. They were slithering around, right? Let's go back to Genesis 3 and read it from the top again.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Yeah, so you guys can write down Matthew 23 and verse 33. That's also another precept regarding Yahweh calling the Pharisees serpents and vipers. They weren't literal snake people running around, or reptilians like they like to say nowadays. I've seen a video with somebody did some AI, man. They had Hillary Clinton blinking like a damn alligator. The eyelids close and pop up, and wild stuff going on. But you live with the guys like David Icke, with talking about reptilians is amongst us right now. And is that literal, or is that the nature of the people, how they move? That's another precept, right? But let's look at the beasts of the field. Give me Ecclesiastes 3 and verse 18. Ecclesiastes 3 and 18.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 18. I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men.
The state of who?
The estate of the sons of men.
Read on.
That God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts.
See that? That's what man is being compared to a beast because of our nature, because of us being astray from the law, statutes, and commandments. When we don't abide by the laws and the commandments of the Most High, that's when we're carrying ourselves as beasts, uncivilized, without true moral or civil character. The Most High will look at us like beasts. It's like Rashab used to always say, there's a difference between a male and a man. Male only indicates the gender. That only, that might be what they say? Counsel worthy. I just said that now. I can't say a male is actually a real gender anymore. But yeah, there's a difference because the man is going to take on the attributes that helps him develop into being a leader, a teacher, a guide, a provider, a protector, a brother, an uncle, father. These are all the characteristics that develop him into being a man. Otherwise, they're just a male. Just like they talk about, especially amongst the single sisters and all that, they got quote unquote baby daddies. It's like, you wasn't a father, you was just a sperm donor. Like that same situation comes into play when you're dealing with those things. So it's in like manner, the Most High said that he is concerning, I said in my heart, concerning the estate of the sons of men, that the Most High might manifest them and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. So these are the things where it's saying we got to examine ourselves. Or are we carrying ourselves as beasts, or are we carrying ourselves as holy men, as gods, as the Bible tells us on Psalms 82:6. When you're looking at the little YNs running around here in the streets, man, high off of pills and weed and drink and chasing women and shooting each other up in the streets, those are beasts. Today they're acknowledged as being niggas, but in reality, they're beasts. Remember, the Most High said that in these latter days, man, women are going to bring forth menstruous children or monsters. Yeah, in 2nd Ezra 5. So, this is the type of character that we're breaking free from. Let's get some more on that. 2nd Ezra, chapter 8. 2nd Ezra, chapter 8. And let's read verse 29 and 30.
Book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 8, verse 29. Let it not be thy will to destroy them which have lived like beasts, but to look upon them that are clearly taught thy law.
See that? That's what separates us from the nation. That's why he calls them heathens. We're heathens, and they're heathens, and we're holy. We're set apart. That's why when you see a lot of the time the customs of some of these heathens running around here, man, you see the Africans, what they do with their bloodletting sacrifices that they do, and the drinking of blood milkshakes and circumcising their women, and the East Indians, that they over here worshiping cows, skinny and flies all on their lips and all over the place, but they will not touch a cow to save their life because they believe the holiness of the cow. You've seen all different type of cultural things, especially now via the internet and on TikTok and everything else that the nations be doing. I just seen a video, some Edomites, man, I don't know what the hell they were doing. They up on this high old hill and they running down, trying to see if they can make it down without stumbling. They falling all, you seen that? Falling all over the place. One dude flipped all in the air, knocked himself out. You saying, why? What the hell are you doing? And it's like, oh, that's the heathen. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? These are heathen. They don't carry themselves with any particular dignity or holiness or set apartness because it's not in them to do it. They have to be taught that. That's why in Deuteronomy 4 it says that they'll look upon us and say, this is a wise and understanding people. Matter of fact, we'll get that after we finish this one. But it says, let it not be thy will to destroy them which have lived like beasts. That's what our whole mind frame is, to renew our minds. What's that? 2 Corinthians 5:17? That we renew our minds after knowledge, because otherwise, how else are we carrying ourselves? In the eyes of the Most High is like they over there living like beasts, uncivilized, savage, without any law or structure in their lives. So what are they doing? They're going out there carrying themselves just like in the animal world. And Esau will put that out there. Survival of the fittest, manifest destiny, all these particular carnal concepts and what it is to live like in the quote unquote jungle. I mean, what they even have an area in LA called the jungles. Why? Because that's where the beast is at. You dig what I'm saying? And our school used to be in the jungles. We had 2 schools in the jungles, man, trying to get them beasts to get tamed and get right, you know. But that's a fact. You know, when they throw us in these projects, you know, you go into laboratories. What they got? They got the little the mice and the rats and all these other little lab animals stuck in cages because they're working on projects for developmental diseases and all kind of other stuff, man. They treat us the same way. The Most High is like, look, don't destroy us who have lived like beasts, but look upon them that have clearly taught thy law. That's what's going to get us out of that mind frame, right? Read verse 30.
Verse 30. Take no indignation at them which are deemed worse than beasts, but love them that always put their trust in righteousness and glory.
Go to Job 18. Oh, Schlock, I did say I want to go to Deuteronomy 4. Let's read that real quick, and then we'll go to Job. Is that for the wise and understanding people? Yeah. There you go. Yep, there you go. Read that.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this is a great nation. Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
So when you get to back to Genesis 3 and we're understanding the concept of what was going on, Adam and Eve was not the only people on the earth. These were the chosen seed, the chosen generation that was set apart from the rest of the beasts of the field and was given the tree of life, which fed them with knowledge, wisdom, understanding, the laws and the commandments of the Most High, a higher form of dignity and morale that set them apart from the rest of the nations and peoples that was around them. This is why the Most High said this particular serpent was more subtle than the rest of the beasts. He was more slick, more deceitful, more manipulative than the rest of the nations and peoples that was there at that time, right? Now jump over to Job 18. I'm trying to think of that scene in Empire Strikes Back when Luke asked Yoda if the dark side stronger, and he says no, it's more quicker, more wicked, more seductive. And I'm paraphrasing that, but that's exactly how the serpent or the spirit that was in this individual, like a serpent, beguiled Eve. That's why I said beguiled her. More seductive, quicker, quick to jump on the situation, throw in the art of seduction, manipulation, and whatnot, man. This was a cold cat, man. Read that, Job 18. Start at 1 down to 3.
The book of Job, chapter 18, verse 1. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite and said, how long will it be ere ye make an end of words? Mark, and afterwards we will speak. Wherefore we counted as beasts and reputed vile in your sight. He teareth them. Oh, so like you wanted to verse 3.
Yeah, just the verse 3. So Bildad the Shuhite, they were trying to figure out and asking, Job, like, what's going on with you? And Job, he wasn't explaining and giving them, full understanding regarding what was going on. So we said, well, how long are you going to make air at the end of the words? Like, how long are you going to hold on with these words, man? Are you going to continue treating us like we beasts, like we can't understand what's going on and we can't converse and, get a greater understanding regarding this? And he said, well, Mark, and afterwards we will speak. Wherefore are we counted as beasts and reputed vile in your sight? So that lets you know the Most High even looks at one who carries himself like a beast. He said, man, that's vile in the eyes of the Most High. The Most High didn't want nothing to do with this damn serpent. And some say it was Esau. Esau was not around then. This is the spirit that was on the individual. There wasn't a name of nations that we could say it wasn't there. But we do know that these were peoples and people groups that were existing then. And through this particular spirit that was on this individual, that's how the seduction came. Okay. Matter of fact, I got that. And I'm going to play this. Fair use. Fair use. This is for teaching and scholarship and criticism. A little clip. Let me share it real quick. Is it sharing? Okay, here we go. It's on now, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's just a little delay. Y'all will see it in a second.
Run! Yes, Jedi strength flows from the Force. But beware of the dark side. Anger, fear, aggression. The dark side of the Force are they. Easily they flow, quick to join you in a fight. If once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Consume you it will, as it did Obi-Wan's apprentice.
Did you hear that? He said, once the dark side gets you and takes a hold, it's going to take you down a dark path and it's going to consume you. That's what we're seeing happening in Genesis 3. She got seduced and got introduced to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. At the beginning, we was only supposed to know life. The tree of immortality, tree of life. That was it. We weren't supposed to be learning about good, evil as well. Once that door was opened, Israel nose gets wide open, man. We get to being curious. And what's more about this evil? Tell us more about this. We only know about being good. What fun is it being good all the time? They always warn about the preacher's daughter. They always warn about the worst ones, the ones that, only want to do good all the time because there's an itch that says, I want to know what it's like to be bad for once. You got something?
Yeah. It alludes to it in Sirach 37:2.
Sirach 37:2. Let's go there.
3. 37:3.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 37, verse 3. O wicked imagination, whence camest thou in to cover the earth with deceit?
Yeah, God, that's powerful right there. Imagination, it says, camest thou in to cover the earth with deceit. It's through the imagination, the vain imaginations of man, how far we can go as far as the wickedness is concerned. The Most High said even about Jeremiah 80, talk about the Sodomites. It said they declare their sin to Sodom, they hide it not. It becomes vain in the wickedness to cover the whole earth with it. Like, the wicked imaginations of man. That's why the Most High even told us not to trust in our own hearts. He said, who can know it? The heart is deceitful above all things. Who can know it? The Most High said, you can't even trust your own thoughts. Stick with the script. That's going to be our leading guide to manifest and marinate in our minds and in our hearts to help us move in a righteous fashion. If we decide to say we know better, that's why the Most High said, no, trust me with all your heart and I'll lead your way. Paraphrasing. But yeah, that's exactly what went on is she starts hearing about this doctrine of information and understanding, and the imagination starts running wild, especially as we read on a little bit when she was told, hey, you partake in this, you're going to be as a god. She's like, what? Oh, and tell me more. Imagination started running wild. What can I do as a god? What can we do? What more? Your husband was already given dominion over the whole earth. That wasn't enough. Let's finish this up.
Vader, Is the dark side stronger?
No, no, no. Quicker, easier, more seductive.
See that?
How am I to know the good side?
Quicker, easier, more seductive.
Quicker, easier, more
But how am I to know
seductive.
the good side?
You know, it's way easier to go out there and be wicked, be unrighteous, seek death, you know, the whole line. But to do good and stay disciplined, that's the problem.
Side from the bad.
You will know when you are calm, at peace, passive.
That's all I'm gonna play
A
for you,
Jedi
right?
uses the Force.
But it's letting you know that's a deep movie too, you know, because the Force basically is your faith. You know, a lot goes on in that, but that's under fair use. We use that for teaching, criticism, and scholarship, and for critiquing, you know, fair use and the usages of that. But nonetheless, when we get back into it, let's get back over there to Genesis. So we got understanding regarding these beasts. These were humans that had been declared as being beasts because they were without law, statutes, and commandments. They were without a form of worship of understanding. Simple as that, right? The serpent we see was a spirit that was filled of deceit, wickedness, seduction. It was not a literal person. Give me Psalms 140 and let's start and read 1 through 3 on before we get back to reading Genesis 3. Psalm 140. Start at verse 1.
The book of Psalms, chapter 140, verse 1. Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war.
Right. See, that's what Eve was encountering. The evil man. The most, you know, David said, man, he wanted to be preserved from the evil man, preserved from the violent man. Because what was this serpentine spirit going to bring forth? Death. Now it says, which imagine mischief in their heart, which precepts the scripture Ross just brought out in Sirach 37 about the wicked imaginations. That's the only type of thought patterns that this individual had within them. Wickedness, evil imaginations, bringing forth knowledge of evil that we had no business even trying to engage in, because what was I going to do? Open up sin and death at our door. Once we learned about evil, oh, now we're intrigued. Oh, because it's quicker, easier, more seductive. She got seduced on and head turning. The next thing you know, she's like, I got to go back and tell my husband about this. Which imagine mischiefs in their heart, continually are they gathered together for war. Read verse 3.
They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent.
See, now, what's that mean? That means that they're sharp with their tongue, meaning they're seductive, they're coercive, you know, manipulative. Somebody got a sharp tongue like a serpent, man. That lets you know that they operate very keen with their words. They're very slick with how they operate, and there's always deceit behind it. They've sharpened their tongues like a serpent. That's why, you know, why did our Northern Kingdom brothers and indigenous tribes call the white man a forked tongue? Because his sharp tongue, breaking all of the covenants and the peace treaties and, you know, the declarations of war. Charge! Get them! You know. Making strong declarations against our people, man. Calling them bywords and proverbs. Stealing their land. Colonizing them. Blankets with smallpox. Trail of tears. You know, raping the women. The whole nine. Hangings and lynchings. Yes, Native American was hung and lynched. Tongues like serpents. Go ahead.
They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips.
Yeah, because they speak death. And this serpent individual, serpentine individual, was speaking poisonous death, man, to Eve in this moment. Let's go back to Genesis.
Book of Genesis, chapter 3.
If y'all want one more precept on the beast, you get 2 Maccabees 10 and 6. 2 Maccabees 10 and 6, y'all can write that one down. But I think we got the point proven. We're just gonna move on. You can start at verse 2.
Verse 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it.
So he came and said, hey, it said, now the serpent more subtle than any beast of the field which the Most High Yahweh had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? So here he is already questioning the authority of the Most High. Did he say that that's all you can eat? And she like, yeah. He said we can eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. So all of a sudden, you see what she missed though. Look at verse 3 one more time. And then see her response. And it says, what did the servant say there? It said, look, pick it up in verse 1 where it says,
Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
What was her response?
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden.
What word was missing that she repeated? Another one. No. Every. Just like when the Pharisees came and said, Is it lawful to put away your wife for every cause? That's why Christ was like, You can have serpents. You think you're slick. Every tree of the garden, he said, you can't eat all of them. And her prideful self said, We can eat of the trees of the garden. Well, he said, but you didn't say everyone, though. There's one that you probably don't know about. Let me tell you about this one. And here she is, all silly, saying, yeah, we can. What are you talking about? He said, no, I said everyone. Oh, well, I didn't hear that part. What else? You know? Now, of course, read verse 2 again, and then we're going to read verse 3.
Verse 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said.
Now, hold that, right? Let's go jump over here to Sirach 10. In verse 12 and 13.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10, verse 12. The beginning of pride is when one departed from God, and his heart is turned away from his maker.
Now, you notice here is that she went astray from what the Most High told her. Her pride said, yeah, we can eat of, instead of keenly listening and saying, no, we can't eat of every tree. She was quick to respond, yeah, we can eat of the trees of the garden. Don't be saying like we restricted, like we can't. Yeah, we can. No, that was pride. Where she immediately answered and said, yeah, but no, he said everyone. Now that opens you up to say, well, I can't go back now. I done already said we can eat of every tree. We can eat of the trees of the garden. Now he says, well, I said everyone. Well, I said the trees of the garden. Now we're playing semantics. Now you're going to say, but you know about this one, the tree of knowledge of good and evil? I haven't been exposed to that one. Well, it's in the garden. You said you can have some. Now she's stuck because that pride separated her. Instead of sticking with what the Most High said, she jumped out the window and said, no, we can. But that slick little one word is what got her tripped up. And that's where the beginning of pride is, when one departed from the Most High and his heart is turned away from his maker. Verse 13.
For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly.
John, now give me Proverbs 16:18. Let's get that one. Classic about where that leads us.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall.
That's right. And that's what we experiencing, and that's what she ended up opening up the doors to. Back to Genesis 3.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, and verse 3. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
So now she says, hey, you know what? But there is a tree that's in the midst of the garden, but the Most High said that we couldn't eat of it and we're going to die. But she done already put it out there. We can eat the trees of the fruit of the garden, but there is one that, God said that we wasn't supposed to mess with. But, I don't know about that, He just said stay away. I didn't get the full understanding of the reasoning, but yeah, there is this one. He said we're going to die. We just stay away from it. Go to Isaiah 63. No, I'm sorry. I don't want 63. Give me Matthew 7:16.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 16. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit.
Right. So the Most High already gave clear distinctions in regards to what and how you determine the character or the nature of a person or the individual is based upon their works. Wherever and however they're rooted, whatever they bring forth from those roots is either going to be good or it's going to be bad. Spoiled, it's going to be rotten, or it's going to be fresh, and it's going to be nutritious in the spirit. Now, this is why the Most High gave this particular analogy regarding trees, as people, and all this other stuff, which we're going to talk about. But Christ even told us, he said, you're going to know a tree by the fruit that it bears. A corrupt tree can't bring forth good fruit, so forth and so on. So he tried to instill that in Adam and Eve early. And she was still like, well, we can still partake of all the fruit of the trees of the garden. But he said only the good ones. You ain't supposed to be worried about these evil ones that bring forth corrupt fruit. You're going to die. You get curious about them. She didn't believe it. She said, I don't know. Because all it took was a quick, easier, more seductive voice to pop in and say, you're not going to die. What? Look at you. You just fine. Ain't grandma been saying, I've been smoking 50 years. Ain't nothing wrong with me. You better leave me alone. I've been eating pork. Leave me alone. Ain't nothing happened to me. Yeah, slow death, slow kill. Jump over to Psalm 15. We're going to read 1 down to 3.
The book of Psalms, chapter 15, verse 1. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart.
Right. So that's who is going to dwell with the Most High in his holy tabernacle. It says, he that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. Already off the top, we know that the serpent was not speaking the truth from his heart. This is all elements of deceit, seduction, lies, and coercion. Read on.
He that backbiteth not with his tongue.
Well, that's a characteristic of a snake. You get backbitten, you turn your back, it's going to catch you. The scripture says, man, nobody pities a snake charmer when he gets bit. You want to play around in the pit and do all that stuff like Elam, like patting them on the head and doing all that stuff. And when they get bit, don't nobody, people be screaming, oh, but guess what? You shouldn't have been playing around. And don't they have that old parable where they talk about the what is it, the frog and the snake or something? And the frog was supposed to be helping the snake, and then once it got across the street or something, and the snake bit him, and it was like, "Why you bite me?" He's like, "Man, I'm a snake. What you expect?" Right? Yeah, exactly. You knew the job was dangerous when you got it, right? But it says, "He that backbiteth not with his tongue, that's who's going to be closer to Most High. That's who's going to be acknowledged on that holy hill." Go ahead.
Nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor.
Right. So this serpent, this spirit of the serpent, was not thinking about doing evil to his neighbor. They wanted to do evil. They were introducing evil to their neighbor. All them principles get lost in the sauce. Go jump over to Proverbs 16 again. I know we read 28. I want to read 27 too.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 27. An ungodly man diggeth up evil, and in his lips there is a burning fire.
You see that? That's what's coming out of his mouth. Remember, it said he got the mouth and lips is like the poison of an adder. So what's everything he's speaking is nothing but poisonous, death, lies, and here she is soaking it all in. Right now, the fangs is already out. She don't see him. He done opened up and they got like Dracula, Dracula got to seduce the woman. She's all stargazing, and before you know it, he done open up his mouth and get ready to sink his teeth in, and she too busy, falling in love on his shoulder. Now it says, an ungodly man diggeth up evil. So this lets you know this wasn't a spirit that came from the Lord. This was an ungodly individual that had a spirit of evil. And in his lips there was a burning fire. That's all he was speaking to her. Jump over to James 1:14. Book of James, chapter 1, and we're going to read verse 14.
The book of James, chapter 1, verse 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death.
See, that's the problem we see here. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. See, that's what we're dealing with, getting back to Genesis. The start of the ending was not only the pride, but the temptation that was already embedded within Eve, and the immaturity and the lack of structure and order that Adam didn't stand behind when it came down to her being seduced and entertaining a whole nother spirit, another man. That's why the scriptures even tell us about, if a woman's to learn anything, let her learn of her husband at home and all those other things, unless she's got the permission and authority from her husband. There's order and structure how the Most High told things are supposed to go down. We got to learn from these past eras of seduction. Go jump over to Proverbs 11:9. So now it's already within her. Notice she said, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High have said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. That was already the introduction. That temptation was already in her mind. She could have just easily said, no, we can't eat of every tree. We only partake in this, and that's that. But it's like, nah, but there is this tree over there. But I've been curious about, but the Most High said we can't mess with it because we might die. That spirit of serpent said, oh, really? I know all about that tree. You want to know about it? Well, we're not. What? He tells you can't. Listen, you're not going to die if I tell you about this. Trust me. Once I do, though, you're going to become as a god. How's that sound? Knew it was something else going on in there. I'm jumping again. We ain't even read that far yet. But we're going to get there. Read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 9.
Yeah, come on. 11 and 9.
Verse 9. An hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor.
Right, because here he is going over here, hearing and knowing the knowledge of good and evil. They know he knows what they were not supposed to partake in, and he's not going to go too far that's going to get him caught up. But he has no problem getting her and Adam destroyed via his mouth. Go ahead.
But through knowledge shall the just be delivered.
Right, and she held fast in the knowledge of the tree of life. There wouldn't be no problem. But she said, hey, no. The hypocrite with his mouth destroyed his neighbor. So now here she is trying to be right, and even in her right, she's a hypocrite. She's got the knowledge of the tree of life and everything else. She said, well, I can get a little bit of both. And now here we are, everybody destroyed. We cursed. We definitely death didn't open up the door. The Most High even told us. He said, I didn't create death, but because of man's iniquity, now he got to open up them doors. Go back to you got something?
Oh yeah. Sirach 25, 26.
Sirach 25. Okay, come.
3. 22, yeah.
Oh, okay, kind of.
No.
You talking about
You know,
a shameless woman?
we heard we all got.
Oh, 25, maybe. Let me see.
25.
I'll find it in a second. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm
Yeah. Let's read chapter 20. Stay in Sirach. We'll read 20. And then we'll read verse 22. And then I think I want to drop down to 29. Chapter 20, read verse 22.
Book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 20, verse 22. There is that destroyeth his own soul through bashfulness, and by accepting of persons overthroweth himself.
Now, notice what it says through bashfulness. There is that destroyeth his own soul through bashfulness, like her not being prepared to step up and speak and say no. Matter of fact, I got a husband. I need to be talking to him right now. Why are you even over here trying to talk to me? Right? No, we can't eat of all the trees of the garden. We're only eating of this and that's that. Nice meeting you, but I'm out of here. But through bashfulness, oh no, it's just she want to get caught up in her mind frame of temptation. Something is already in it, the pride and everything else. And I can speak for my house. Like, no, doesn't work that way. Now, guess what? Destruction of souls through bashfulness, and by accepting of persons overthroweth himself. So the accepting of this demonic spirit, this serpentine spirit, accepting it as truth, accepting it as, this is beneficial. The dark side, I'm going to get more power through this. And next thing you know, that power is all rooted in evil and wickedness, is going to take over the soul and transforms you into a beast now. Drop down, read verse 29.
Verse 29.
Yeah, it's 25 and 24. Yeah, kind of. We'll go there next.
Presents and gifts blind the eyes of the wise.
You see that? Oh, I'm going to give you something that's going to make you wise. That goes in the Sirach, Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and 7. Surely oppression make a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Her mind is gone at this point. When we're getting ready to get into, he's getting ready to tell her, hey, I got something that's going to make you unstoppable in your understanding and your knowledge, man. You think you're on high right now? That tree of life is nothing. God's been holding out on you. There's more to the game that you even realize. And you've been deprived of that. You don't know how powerful you are. You see these little slick talking, fork-tongued Jakes on TV, worshiping the women and all kind of madness. The power of the woman, the power of the bra strap. Sister, y'all don't know how strong you are. I worship you, woman. Got my black goddess. I'll stroke that ego, man, and before you know it, all hell done broke loose in somebody's household and within our nation, man. You can't tell her nothing no more. Right? Was that at 29? Okay, jump over to Sirach 25 and 24. Let's get the elders precept.
Book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25, verse 24. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die.
Yeah. Some sisters, when they first read that, they're like, I don't agree with that. That ain't fair. Where was Adam at? That was his problem. Don't blame. No, stop shifting the blame. It's going to start with you. Now, Adam definitely had a problem, or definitely is being held accountable as well. But everybody got to accept the roles of how these things played out, man. And the scriptures say that.
1 Timothy 2.
1 Timothy 2? Okay, come on, we'll go. 1 Timothy 2:14. Yeah, the doorway, the gateways was open. The scriptures say that the woman is a weaker vessel, man, and the man has to dwell with her according to knowledge. Adam dropped the ball on that. He didn't impart the knowledge within the structural household, and now we end up seeing what happened. 1 Timothy 2:14. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 14. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
Right. So, you know, in the moments, Adam wasn't there to be deceived. But if Adam was dwelling with her according to knowledge, she would have known. Don't even entertain it. You know, the spirit. Jump back over here to Sirach 20, Brian. But yeah, it wasn't Adam. Adam didn't kick it off, but he had to deal with the fallout. Definitely had to deal with the fallout.
That's hard-headed.
That's a fact. What is that scripture about? Sitting not at all with another man's wife.
Yeah, 8, 9.
Is it 8? Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. No, 9 and 9.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9 and 9. Sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thine arms.
Right. She was instructions, and in order, she would already understood that. Like, hey, you know, my husband's not even present, and here you are trying to have conversations with me. You trying to teach me and give me understanding that I should be getting from him? No, I'm not doing that. But no, she got beguiled and fell for the okie doke with it from a sharp tongue serpent.
Like you said, it's a spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and you set up these idols, the spirit in your imagination, in your mind.
Yeah.
And Ezekiel speaks of that in 14.
Okay, let's finish this and then we'll go that one.
Sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thine arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, lest thine heart incline unto her.
Oh, you want to go catch a drink after work? Yeah, I know you had a rough day. Yeah, what's going on at home? Yeah, my husband, he's never home, and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, we've been having a rough time ever since we had the baby. And then, oh, yeah, I understand. You know, it's always good to get out. You know, I don't have no problem taking you out. Let's get some lunch next time and get a drink. And then before you know it, the shoulder to cry on, you know, that passes way of grief and solitude. And, you know, that person, I just can't talk to my husband like I talk to you. And, oh, yeah, I'm always open. I'm always here for you, blah, blah, blah. And before you know it, you pissy drunk somewhere in the backseat of his car doing God knows what. You know, that's where the problems lie. And that's why the Most High said, hey, don't even put yourself in them situations. But here, Eve, she sat back and said, hey, you know, I can talk to you. I ain't got no problem. My husband's not around. That's when you lose sight of even honoring your husband when he's not even there. You know, that's where you get these disrespectful little dudes running around here. And even if a woman says, hey, I'm married. So what? You can't have friends? Oh, what's that mean? You know, everybody cheat. Everybody get right. Everybody need a friend. No, I don't need a friend. Yeah, you do. And that's when it goes all left. You know, well, I guess so. You know, you can get the women, man, they don't want to let you see the phone. You see them little street interviews with cats, these guys be asking, how long you guys been in a relationship? Oh, 5 years. Oh, that's good. You guys think you got a strong relationship? You trust each other? Yeah, of course. Okay, switch phones. And they be like, oh, hold on. And they like, what you doing with the phone? No, hold on. I gotta do something. And the husband might be the one handing the phone over, ready to go, and the wife like, oh yeah. And the husband like, hold on, what you deleting off that phone? I ain't seen that a gang of times. Or vice versa, the dudes up here like, yeah, hold on. And it's all kind of problems because what? They sit back and say, well, just in case I got that. The one who wants to spend some money, take me out to dinner, I got him on deck. The one who's my shoulder to cry on, I got him on deck. I got the one in the friend zone, I got him on deck. I got the one who's going to spend money on me, I got him. If I need my bills paid, it's bad out there. Bad out there, man. And to curb and get rid of all them spirits off of sisters is a problem. And brothers out there who are immature and not carrying themselves as such and not leading and guiding and saying, hey, this is an inappropriate relationship I got going on. Like, I shouldn't be pursuing that. That's a problem as well. What'd you have in Ezekiel?
Ezekiel 14, 2 and 3.
God.
Said, We set up these idols in our mind
Mm-hmm.
and your imagination gets soaring, and then it hooks up with that spirit of the subtlety that we're talking about in Genesis chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's all in your head at that point in time. Imagination can go any kind of way, but read that 2 and 3.
Book of Ezekiel, chapter 14, verse 2. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, these men have set up their idols in their heart, and put the stumbling block of their iniquity before their face.
Yeah.
Should I be inquired of all by them? Slack, should I be inquired of at all by them?
That's on the individual person. They set up a stumbling block. And before your faith, of course, is your mind. And these things become attached to your spirit, and then you just carry it out. That's what Eve did. She just carried it out. So that's the seduction of subtlety.
Yeah.
You don't have to be around nobody. It just wicked imagination comes in. You latch on to it, and yeah. And that's what Most High said, have no other God before me. You know.
Yeah.
And before the face of the Most High. But you sitting back thinking up all kinds of things, not knowing that you are conjuring up these different spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And you set them up for a stumbling block. That's what you say.
That's key. That's definitely key because that goes in that Wisdom of Solomon 14 too, about the devising of idols and spiritual fornication in the beginning. Yeah. We'll get that in a minute. I'll just bounce that off in the spirit. But let's jump back over to Genesis 3. And make sure in the comments everybody good. All right, kind of. Let's jump back over here. Where we leave up at? Verse we read verse 3. Let's read verse 4.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof.
Hold on. Let me get one more precept in James 4. James 4, 15, 17. Because remember, it says, because of bashfulness, you can destroy your soul. You know, when you don't have that, when you don't speak up when it's time to do right, or you don't speak up when it's time to make correction or reproof or whatever, the Most High said you can destroy your soul, not only yours, but somebody else's. That's why the Most High tells us about iron sharpening iron and being your brother's keeper and things of that nature. You know, when she sat back and had opportunity to say something and cut that spirit off, she didn't do it. And now we're in the world of damn hurt right now. She didn't do it. And that's where we're talking about. James 4, read 15 down to 17.
The book of James, chapter 4, verse 15. For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. But now ye rejoice in your boastings.
See, now this is, the scriptures talk about, in the church and the writings that James was addressing, you had Israel, man, that was out there boasting in all their evils. They was like, look, we out here, we're hitting the highways and the byways, we're selling goods, we coming up, we doing the work. But most, if you read earlier, the Most I call them adulterers and adulteresses. Friendship with the earth, what the world is enmity with the Most High. They was trying to walk, being lukewarm, living worldly, carnalized, thinking holiness is gain and all that other stuff. And he was like, y'all sitting up here boasting about this evil. You engaging more in the world than you are in the spirit and taking care of the church and everything else. What are you doing? Right? They were being double-minded. And you see that going on in the Israelite community. You see it going on in the churches. Somebody want to be part of the world, want to be in the truth, dibble-dabbling and never realizing, like, you never really fully got committed. That's why the Most High said in Revelation 3 about, be ye hot or cold. Let's us spew you out. He said, make a choice. You're going to be hot. You're going to be on fire. Come serve the Lord. You're going to be cold. You want the world. Go out there and do that. It's better you do that than sit back and play games. I'm with it, but I still got this going on. I got these attachments and my tentacles are still locked into the world. I'm still trying to hustle. No, you can't do both. You can't be the old you and claim that it's a new you going on. Yeah, big time. You know, that's why sometimes I think, what was it? There's a video brother sent me about one of these rappers talking about he's from the tribe of Judah. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm more impressed when you're living it and you're being an actual example to the flock, man. When you going out here putting your career and your feet to the flames and doing it. I mean, Kanye, he went out there and pushed the issue, but he still wasn't living it. Going back to that damn white woman, doing all this other folly he was involved in, and it's like, come on, man, you standing on it, you pushing the truth, you leaning and stepping on the necks of those who's claiming to be us and all that other stuff, but at the same time, you don't want to change your life and actually live what you're saying. You know, that's why Christ even said, man, these people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. So it's a lot different. They was doing that over here with James. And James is, having to rebuke him. He said, man, your boastings is evil. Now, read that again and start at verse 13, read down to 17, read down to the end.
Verse 13. Go to now, ye say, Salakia, go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow we will go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and get gain.
Yeah, see, prosperity doctrine ain't new. That was going on back then. They utilizing the church resources and getting out there and buying and selling for the whole year. They said, man, we about to come up. And then they was doing unrighteous judgments amongst each other. James is like, man, y'all are all out of order. What the hell's going on over here? Go ahead.
Whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time, and then vanisheth away.
Mm-hmm.
For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that.
Right. So you say, how we always say that. Most High willing. Most High willing, I'm gonna do this or do that. Always, yeah, absolutely. Always acknowledge the Most High, right? But he said, now, how long you got? You talking about tomorrow? He said, man, you might not even be here tomorrow. What's your life? It's even vapor that appear for a little time and then vanisheth away. So what do you do with your time here on this earth, man? What do you do inside this shell and this flesh and your spirit that's within you? How are you making the most of it? Right? Read on.
For that ye ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. But now ye rejoice in your boastings. All such rejoicing is evil. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin.
Right. So there we see Eve had opportunity to do good and didn't do it, which now sin is already in the mix. It's already bubbling. Right now, just because she's already knows that the Most High told her you're not supposed to be partaking in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That was already stated. But the first thing she said was, we can eat the trees of the garden. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's this other one the Most High said that we're not supposed to mess with or we might die. And the serpent said, what, verse 4?
And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die.
What? Listen, I've been over there partaking in this knowledge and this information. You just don't know what y'all missing out on. Do I look dead to you? She should be like, no, yeah, exactly. You're not gonna die. That's crazy. God loves you, man. That the Christians say God's all love. He will never kill you. What? He doesn't like death. No way. Die? No, can't be. Go to Matthew 8. Matthew 8.
The book of Matthew, chapter 8.
Read verse. Let's read verse 23 and 24.
Verse 23. And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him.
Absolutely. Mark, that's the Matthew. I'm jumping again. Before I get there, because I want to read it after After we read verse 6, like we're gonna get to the trees. Let's get back over to Genesis 3, 4, 5, and 6. I want to get to the meat. So I'm jumping. Genesis 3, read 4, 5, and 6.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
So he said it with authority, and now it's more seductive, more quicker. Die? No way. You're gonna live. What are you talking about, dude? This is why he don't want you to know. It's not because you're gonna die. It's because of how great you're gonna be. You always hear about the hidden knowledges, unlocking the secrets. All this other stuff. People marketing this stuff now. How many damn online gurus have popped up since COVID? Relationship experts, life coaches. Somebody got the secrets to this, that, and the third. Watermelon diets, everything that popped. Everybody got diet advice. Everybody damn herbal gurus. If you take my course, you're gonna get rich off of these stocks. I mean, that lets you know that the spirit of the servant man just slithered all through your damn computer and phone and your keypad, because out of nowhere, everybody got something to sell. Everybody. I remember during COVID, man, there was some sister, she was popular too. She's sitting in her car talking about relationship advice and what you need to do, girl, and that. I'm like, your ass is sitting in the damn. Where's your office? Where's your studio? What profession did you? Waiting for them checks to clear that everybody's sending her for her life coach advice and all that. And next, a lot of these damn charlatans, man, disappeared. Because there was a nice little hustle, man. Everybody had their stimulus money. They couldn't get out, couldn't do nothing. You're locked in on YouTube and Instagram. And now you're getting seduced by these people and send me your money because I know you got it. Because I got my $1,200. You got yours. And what you going to do with it? And people end up there, getting seduced. So here you go. Here's the serpent pop out and said, man, what? You're not going to die. Trust me. Listen to me. Verse 5.
Verse 5. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened.
God, but when you eat this, God knows what's going to happen. God knows you're going to be great. You're going to be good. God wants you to be great. He wants you to be successful. He wants you to be, rich. That prosperity doctrine slithering out the lips of these damn preachers. Let alone just anybody who's already got a prideful disputation within them and already kind of like, I'm supposed to be somebody. I'm supposed to be better than this. I know I'm greater. And now somebody feeds that ego. Yeah. God wants you to be that way. But this is what you got to do to get it. Similar entertainment, casting couches and the whole nine. You got the talent, but you just gonna need a little push. You need a little help. Ask Diddy, the freak offs and all the other stuff. How many people probably got a career or got something going or some little paycheck because, hey, you got talent, but I need help. I need service. Can I count on you? Can I call on you to come on over here and take care of me so I can take care of you? Them same games, but God hears you. Once you eat thereof, your eyes are gonna be open. Now you're gonna really see the big picture. You're gonna be on a whole nother level. Go ahead.
For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
You're gonna have a full spectrum dominance of everything. He told you, you supposed to eat it. What, the tree of life? That can't be enough. There's a tree of knowledge of good and evil. You know about that evil. And she's like, no, we ain't heard of such thing. What are you talking about? Well, that's the key. You got to know it all. And once you do, you're going to be as gods, knowing good and evil. You're going to be on his level. See, now jump over to Wisdom of Solomon 14. We read through it.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
Spiritual fornication. So it says the devising of idols, but guess what? It said, why is it spiritual if an idol was created? Because it goes back to the vain imagination that we were talking about earlier. She wanted to be a god already in her mind. That's what set her apart. When he said you're gonna be as a God, she thought, oh, well, I can be equal with the Most High now. I can be like the heavenly host. I can get what I'm missing out on. That's what sets them apart from me. And that knowledge is available to me. And that servant said, yes. That's why you're not gonna die. You're gonna be like a God. How you gonna die? You're a God. And she said, well, I'm a deviser. The imagination temptation was already there. He fed it. And now, as a matter of fact, she said, oh, as a God? Now her eyes is open. Nostrils wide open. She, tell me more. Tell me more. Because what? The devising of the idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. Now she's already committed spiritual fornication. She's already established an idol in her mind. That she's something that she ain't. And now it's all going left. Go ahead.
And the invention of them, the corruption of light.
Because then what happens? The invention, that means the works start coming in. You start putting those imaginations, you start putting away the beginnings of the spiritual things, and you start inventing and building and creating idols. You start creating things that separate us from the Most High. We start committing ourselves to works that separate us from the Most High. And from what? The corruption of life comes into play. Read 13.
Verse 13, for neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever.
Right, read.
For by the vain glory of men they entered into the world.
See that? The vain glory. She wanted some vanity. And that's what he tempted her with. Well, you're going to be like a God. You're going to know good and evil. Your eyes going to be open. You're going to be unstoppable. Vain glory comes in. What? Tell me more. Go ahead.
And therefore shall they come shortly to an end.
Right. Now jump back over to Genesis. And pick up verse 6.
Verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof.
Right. So again, this is another similitude. This is not talking about some big redwood or some pine tree or some apple tree. All of a sudden now they got these trees giving off fruit that's going to eat more. And all of a sudden you just become wise. Don't listen to that apple a day. Keep the doctor away. That, you know, maybe that's true health wise, but that's not going to make you more wise. Where the hell do you even see an apple anywhere in this verse? You don't. Yeah, your sight going to be better. You eat some carrots. All of a sudden you're going to have x-ray vision. I mean, get out of here. What were these trees? You said the trees were good for food, right? So jump over to Mark 8:24. Then we go to Psalm chapter 1.
The book of Mark, chapter 8, verse 24. And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking.
Right. So this is a blind man that Yahweh healed, and he asked him once he put, the healing towards me. He asked him, what did he see? He said he sees men as trees walking. So this was metaphorical. Jump over to Sirach 50. Sirach 50, we're going to read 12 and 13. So what was Eve talking about when she said that? And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes. Remember, this is all carnal things that she's witnessing, she's seeing. These trees that she's seeing, she says it's good for food. This was the doctrinal information that she was getting from these men. Sirach 50, and read verse, what I say? 12 and 13.
Book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 50, verse 12. When he took the portions out of the priest's hands, he himself stood by the hearth of the altar, compassed with his brethren round about, as a young cedar in Libanus, and as palm trees compassed they him round about. So were all the sons of Aaron in their glory, and the oblations of the Lord in their hands, before all the congregation of Israel, and finishing the service at the altar, that he might adorn the offering of the Most High Almighty.
I just need 13. So you're seeing about Simon the high priest, the son of Onias. You're seeing how he was even compared to being a cedar tree. where it says, when he took the portions out of the priest's hands, he himself stood by the heart of the altar, compassed with his brethren round about, as a young cedar in Libanus, and as a palm trees compassed they him round about. So he's the tall, strong cedar tree. The other palm trees, the other priests that were surrounded around it, right? So this is all metaphorical. You don't see trees that's talking. Trees ain't dropping off fruit that's gonna make you wise. Trees, yes, may be good for food, but this wasn't what she was consuming. It didn't say Eve was hungry, and the serpent was like, "Well, if you're hungry, go on and eat. This is good stuff. You're missing out." No, this is information, doctrinal things that she was being taught and being exposed to that she wasn't supposed to be partaking in, receiving it from the other trees in the garden. Psalm chapter 1. And we're going to read 1 down to 3.
Book of Psalms, chapter 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
Right. So this is where the blessing of Eve and Adam would have taken place if she removed herself from that situation. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, because that was the spirit that the serpent spirit was coming with. Ungodliness, evil, separated from the Most High, utilizing seduction and words of enticement to tell her, like, hey, you want to be on my level? You want to come around? I'll put you on. And you're going to love it afterwards. You're going to be like a goddess. Read.
But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night.
Go ahead.
And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season.
Right, and that's where Adam was to receive the laws of the Most High and to meditate on day and night. And he said he's going to be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. The rivers of water is understanding, and that's where he was going to constantly get nourished by the Most High. Read.
His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper.
Right, his leaf, his posterity was going to continually prosper if he went along with what was supposed to happen. However, he fell short of that. Jump over to Sirach 15, just so we can get some more on that food. Sirach 15, read 1 down to 3.
Book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 15, verse 1. He that feareth the Lord will do good, and he that hath the knowledge of the law shall obtain her.
See, that's the knowledge of life. That's the knowledge of the law. The law was until Moses. No, the laws was before Moses. This is what the Most High imparted when he gave Adam that breath of life and breathed within him that wisdom, that understanding. Within that came the laws and the commandments, the knowledge of doing it right, morally, civilly, dietarily, so forth and so on, right? Read on.
And as a mother shall she meet him, and receive him as a wife married of a virgin.
Mm-hmm.
With the bread of understanding shall she feed him, and give him the water of wisdom to drink.
Right, and that's what, in Psalms 1, we're speaking about when it says he's going to be like a tree planted by the rivers of waters. He's going to be constantly flourishing with understanding. That was the food and the meat that Adam and Eve was supposed to be feasting on. But here she's getting introduced by these other trees, these other men giving her doctrinal information. And she's saying, this is some good stuff. I'm kind of intrigued about this. No, you're not. You shouldn't be. Go to Matthew 7. And read 16 down to 20.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 16. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?
So she was caught off guard. She wasn't acknowledging and seeing what was going on. Who was she dealing with at this time? She's not in discernment mode. She's in a mode of pride, exaltation, vain imaginations, vain glory. She wants power. She wants understanding. Where the hell Adam is at this point, the scripture don't say, but he clearly was off doing who knows what. Instead of watching over his possession, as the scriptures say, either gaineth the wife, gaineth the possession. He's giving her liberty that now she's out here getting seduced by these other men. Go ahead.
Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire.
Right. Now, if we read verse 15, it tells you about false prophets and men coming in as sheep's clothing. So this lets you know that the men were being described as trees in this context. Okay, jump over to let's go to Hosea 10. Hosea 10, and let's read verse 13.
The book of Hosea, chapter 10, verse 13. Ye have plowed wickedness, ye have reaped iniquity, ye have eaten the fruit of lies.
See that? That's what she partook in, the fruit of lies. And she said, it's good for me. It's good. What? You love the lies now? Go ahead.
Because thou didst trust in thy way in the multitude of thy mighty men.
See that? Now let's jump on over to Proverbs 12 and 10.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 10. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel.
See that? They didn't have no regard for her and what was going to end up happening. A righteous man regarded the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. See, even Adam should have known, hey, where's my wife at, man? What's going on? It's a little too late for that, man. He lost righteousness and allowed this to go on. And now we see the tender mercy of the wicked, they're cruel. So she's getting ready to get introduced to death, hell, torment, pain, birth pains and the whole nine because of this whole situation. One more in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 2, verse 21.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 2, verse 21. Yet I had planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?
You see what happens with Israel, man, became that degenerate vine. Let's go back into Romans 11, with the branches and the vines being grafted in, so forth and so on. It's always been about Israel, the evils that carried on within our nation. The Most High called us a degenerate plant of a strange vine to him, right? So we see continuously that the Most High is using metaphorical language when it comes down to descriptions of individuals and peoples during these times. In Genesis, go back over to Genesis 3, read 6 one more time. And read 6 one more time.
Book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit and did eat.
So now they want to partake. Now they want to go ahead on and start. She comes back. And what's it say? And she took of the fruit thereof and did eat. So she took the information, she took the knowledge, and she went back and digested it and said, now let me go regurgitate this and give some to my husband. And he did eat. He didn't say, where the heck? What? Hell no. Where are they at? I need to go over there and holler at them. Where are you learning this? You know what the Most High told us. What the hell's wrong? No, he didn't do it. He said, what? They told you that? Hold on. Sit down. Give me some of that too. Don't be stingy, share. Now they over there eating a whole plate of lies and folly and evil. And Adam didn't check that. Give me. Absolutely. He sat back and said, well, you know what? What you bring to the table sounds good. I ain't got, I'm just as curious as you was, but you just ran into this situation. You ran into the source before I did. Now let's break bread and let's eat.
Instead of speaking to the Father's word, he said the woman has the eye. Let me follow what she does.
Well, now remember, The dark side is more seductive. Who has that moniker with a woman? They call her a seductress. You know, how else is he gonna get to the man? He got it. I'm gonna use this woman. 9 times out of 10, what the scriptures tell us in what the second Ezra 4 about the fall of man, wine and women make a man of understanding fall. And 1 or 2, she couldn't bring back and say, "Here, honey, have something to drink." No, it was just enough for her. Her being her was enough to seduce him, and he ate it hook, line, and sinker. No pun intended. Revelation 10 and 10. Let's look at more about this eating. Yeah, you know, and Satan says, "Hey, I know how to get to him through her. He's not gonna refuse her. He ain't gonna check her. He ain't gonna get that situation straightened out." Because his mind frame is similar to her. Remember, the scripture say a wicked woman is given to the portion of a wicked man. They was a match made in heaven at that time. And you know, they was built and imparted a separation in a seed in the bloodline that was supposed to be holy and righteous and pure, and had the tree of life and immortality sown within them, and dominion given over the earth and the whole 9. But there was still that other side of them that was open to wickedness. If you open up the door, they'll go in there and wreck shop. And he had it in them too. She just got hit first. She come back, he like, "What? I was just thinking about that, but you got it. So tell me more." Oh, everybody plays the fool. Yeah, wow, that's a fact. Revelation 10 and 10.
The book of Revelation, chapter 10, verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up.
So did John the Revelator literally take a book and just start snacking on all of the pages and eating it? No, the little book was an understanding. The revelation that was being received, the knowledge is what was being eaten up. Go ahead.
And it was in my mouth sweet as honey.
Right.
And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter.
Yeah, because that's how it goes. You know, when you get this word, you get this truth, man. It sounds so sweet, man. You finally getting the knowledge of your identity. You learn about your people. You learn about who your enemies are. You learn about your history. You're learning about the language now. You didn't have any information regarding prophecies. You're getting more keen on. You're being more astute to learning better with your reading and your comprehension. Beforehand, you used to give a damn about reading a book. What? I don't care about that. But now you find enjoyment in reading and enhancing your vocabulary, all kind of stuff. Sweet. But then once them curses start kicking in, that life starts kicking in, and you start having to walk and live it and apply it, and you start realizing all the glitters ain't gold. Going back to that old, G.I. Joe slogan, knowing is half the battle. Knowing ain't enough. That's why I said, the little rappers and entertainers and all, you can run around talking about, yeah, we're the children of Israel. We're the gods. Yeah, nigga, you gonna walk and live it too? Well, no, I would just make a statement. I'm with you, but you ain't living it, man. I don't want that bitter taste. And here we are sitting back, killing ourselves just to live, working and slaving and going out teaching and coming up and developing lessons and counseling and everything else. Dealing with and seeing the condition of our community with the bicker and the fighting and the discord and everything, and you like, damn, it's a cold pill to swallow.
Ecclesiastes 1:18.
Ecclesiastes 1 verse 18. We got a precept for that.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 18. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow.
That's right. Much is given, much is required. You hear that? That's what the Spider-Man stole that whole damn line. Great power comes great responsibility. Well, the Most High said that first. He that increases knowledge increases sorrow. For in much wisdom is much grief. The more you learn, the more you understand, the more you're held accountable for. You got a greater responsibility of a tightrope you got to walk on, man. You being put under a microscope of judgment all the time. You got to really live it, and it ain't easy. And that's why in the metaphorical sense, where John the Revelator said he got the book, he ate it up. It was sweet at first, But the patient endurance, waiting for justice on your enemies, having to sit back and see them prance around and be thriving in this wicked society and community. And you're like, Father, how much longer we got to deal with it? Both sides like, man, y'all ain't ready. Shut up. Get back there and keep the commandments and do the work. Because when you are ready, I'm going to deliver you. I'm going to get you. But right now, you're going to deal with it. All right. Jump over to Psalms 119 and 103.
Book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 103. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth.
See that? How sweet are thy words unto my taste. See, that's what Eve and Adam were sitting back feasting on. That fruit was words. That was information. That was knowledge. That was learning about the knowledge of good and evil. You know, now they're in there soaking it all up. And mind you, she was obviously listening and astute as hell, because she sat back and got everything and brought back a full meal to him. And they sit back, tell me more. What? We ain't gonna die? What? Wisdom, evil, sin, death. Oh, that sounds scary, but it's intriguing. Tell me more. Write down Ezekiel chapter 3, 1 through 3. That's another precept for that. Regarding eating and partaking, not literal eating fruit, you know, even though I use it in the thumbnail. I mean, you're gonna find it hard to find anything else with a damn apple popping out in this whole scenario. I mean, this is where the fantasy has to be separated from reality, man. And Christianity and Catholicism and the rest of the religious denominational dogmas that's out there have to be put under a microscope and saying, man, why are they selling us this fantasy and adding to the word of the Most High and putting in these particular scenarios that didn't exist? That's why Christ said, man, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. I mean, we got to be free from the lies and the bondage of captivity of deceit, and stand firm and say, that's a lie, man. Why are they teaching me that? And I'm not going to teach my kids that. Don't buy your kids no damn Bible books that's showing this imagery of a serpent sliding down a tree with an apple in his mouth and the woman getting ready. Don't buy that for your kids. That's an abomination. That's a lie.
Millions.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. If Eve didn't eat the apple, what apple? Where is that at? Damn, why wasn't it a mango? Why was you know what I'm saying? Like, who decided this apple? But then you start seeing with the technology with the apple, and you see the logo of the actual technology company is a bitten apple, where they act like, oh, it's the forbidden fruit. This is where all the knowledge is going to, stem from.
And you can rest assured, people went out and bought all kinds of apples.
Yeah. Apples all day long.
Right. Right.
Ain't nothing natural.
You ain't getting no wiser. You didn't do nothing else. Joshua 23. Let's read 11 down to 13. Yeah, they love to throw that out there.
Book of Joshua, chapter 23, and verse 11. Take good heed, therefore, unto yourselves, that ye love the Lord your God. Else if ye do in any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you, know for a certainty that the Lord your God will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you.
See that's all that this was. The Most High gave us strict commandment and said, man, don't get too cozy with these nations. Because before you know it, they're going to seduce you. You're going to be once up. You're going to be making marriages with them. They're going to be setting up snares and traps of deception, snares and traps of iniquity, idol worship, fornication, you name it, following after their ways. That's why Jeremiah 10:2 tells us, learn not the ways of the heathen and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. We're not supposed to be engaging in anything that deals with these other nations. Adam and Eve should have learned that from the beginning. When they were separated and isolated and put in the midst of the garden, and they was like, look, these other, we giving you, Most High said, I'm going to feed you with the tree of knowledge. The tree of immortality and life. These other trees that's out here, man, leave them alone. They're no good. That's the tree. They got knowledge of good and evil. They got good and bad. And I don't want you learning nothing about what they got going on. What I'm giving you is life. And that's all you're supposed to be dealing with. And they sat back and said, yeah, okay, for sure. And before you know it, here they are intermingling in and getting doctrines and false ideologies. And now they're bringing it back and they're grubbing together, soaking it up, eating it all up. Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
And scourges in your sides and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land which the Lord your God hath given you.
See that? It drive us to death. At the end all be all, man, when we get too comfortable with them. Deuteronomy 13, let's read verse 6.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13, verse 6. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known.
See, that's the law. That's the law. Now, if this was being understood, mind you, this was imparted in them. Eve knew this and said, look, don't let nobody sway you away from the Most High. Don't let, not that she didn't have to receive it in these particular words, but she should know and had an understanding to say, we were supposed to be separated and not deal with no other doctrinal things. We're not dealing with the idol. We're not dealing with what they got going on over there. She got intrigued when he said, what? I got the knowledge of good and evil. And once you learn about this stuff, you're going to be like a God. I'm telling you, you're not going to die. You're going to be even greater. You're going to have knowledge of everything. I mean, don't you want that? And here she go. Now, the law says if your brother, your son, mother, the son, or thy daughter, the wife of thy bosom, your friend, anybody, come in and entice thee secretly. Is the dark side stronger? No. Quicker. Easier. What's it up? How will I know? Right, be good, between good and evil. You will know. You gonna know because it's already been imparted within you to stay away from the evil and the darkness. But it's gonna take an enticing secretly. That's why the serpent had to come. That spirit had to come the way that it did. You see these little slick jakes on the street? Let me holler at you, little mama. Come over here. Hey, pulling up on the bus stop. Hey, what's up with you? You got an Instagram? I'm on the phone with my man right now. Well, here, take mine. I'll holler at you later. Driving off. You know, that's how it goes. Enticing me secretly, saying what?
Saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers.
Right. So this was information that was not to be known. She didn't know nothing about this. Adam sure didn't. But guess what? They took it in. They said, oh, since we don't know about it, maybe we should just know about this just in case. You know, playing that role. We're not going to partake in it, but we should know everything just in case. How to deal with it. No, you don't know. You don't have to learn about dealing with it. Just stay away. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 1. And read verse 10. Yeah, we're almost I'm about to do a part 2. I already know. We ain't even close to finish it. Yeah. Go ahead, read that.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 12. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave and whole.
No, verse 10.
Verse 10. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not.
You see that? You're not supposed to consent. You're not supposed to be, acquiesce and partake in and try to make excuses as to, because you got some of these Negroes, man, and I get it. When I was younger in the truth, but you got that, well, Christ hung with publicans and sinners. So what's wrong with going to the bar? We're going to hang out with the club. We're still going back in the hood and hang with the old homies. They're going to tear you down. That's why. You got to completely cut yourself off and learn to say, okay, once I built up a resistance where I'm not going to be seduced by that, and my only mission is to go back and tell them the truth. My only mission is, okay, I don't want to deal with all of that, then that's what it is. But if you're in a position where you can still be enticed, you still are subjected to your older homies or your best friend and your homegirl since y'all was in elementary school. I said, man, you better stay away from them. Because they're gonna come in and entice thee secretly. Girl, you do everything your man tell you to. I can't do that. See, you should never be like that. You used to be the one telling us, don't do that. It's like, well, that ain't me no more. But don't get it twisted, girl. I feel it. Now you done got seduced. You done entertaining conversation you shouldn't even. I'm still me now. Don't think I'm the shit. You know, I don't let him do everything now. What I allow was what I tell you. The Lord said, my son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. Right? One more you can write down Judges 14, verse 15.
Evil communications.
Corrupt good manners. There you go. Let's jump back over to Genesis 3. See that we ain't got down to 20 precepts. We only have verse more than that. We only had what, verse 7?
Book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 7. And the eyes of them were both opened, and they knew that they were naked.
Now they've been exposed. Now that they got what they was looking for, now all of a sudden it's the eyes are open. They realize and understand what they got in themselves into. Now they realize that we're in trouble now. Hold that. Give me Proverbs 12, verse 16.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame.
See, now they're seeing that they're being exposed. This is the shame that they're experiencing. Well, it said their eyes was open. You think they all of a sudden they never realized they was naked? He looked at him. Hey, you ain't got nothing on. He looked at you ain't got nothing on. What are we doing together naked? For a husband and wife, that's supposed to be odd for them to be naked. Come on, let's read this with proper understanding and context. When their eyes was open, they realized the shame and the guilt that they felt, that they went against the ways of the Most High, that the information that they was receiving was not necessarily profitable. Now they said, now we're naked, we're exposed, we're out there. And I said, the prudent man is going to cover his shame. This is why you're going to see later on, they try to gather up some fig leaves and said, cover up. Maybe the Most High might have mercy on us. Maybe he didn't notice what we. Too late for that. Too late for that. Go to Judges 9 and verse 8.
Book of Judges, chapter 9, verse 8. The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them, and they said unto the olive tree, reign thou over us. Verse 9.
No. That was cool. That was just another precept regarding trees. Give me well, actually finish reading verse 7 in Genesis 3, and then I'll get a couple more precepts regarding.
Book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 7. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
Right. Now, go jump back over to 1 Corinthians 14:40. I forgot to bring this one out because when she came back and sat down with him and started giving, chopping it up with him about this information and realizing this new knowledge that she was getting, Adam didn't maintain his position of authority and leadership. He fell short. 1 Corinthians 14:40.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 14, verse 40. Let all things be done decently and in order.
So Adam should have realized that there was a breach in his household, that their order had been broken, and that should have been a correction, and that should have been a rebuking already. What did he do? No, sit down, honey. How was your day? Tell me what happened. You was out there amongst the trees, meaning amongst the other nations, and you was amongst these other peoples. How'd that go? How's the neighbors? Oh, yeah, I met such. Yeah, they cool. But guess what? I ran into this one cat, man. He was telling me this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. Problem. Proverbs 31, verse 3. So not only did he neglect to instill order or maintain order in his household or declare that it be instituted in his household, He did it. Proverbs 31:3.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 3. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings.
Right. And what's going to destroy a king? By him submitting himself and pleasing a woman that, is already not abiding by the order and the structure that's aligned by the Most High, giving him information and knowledge that's going to be destructive to him, seducing him away from his father, wanting her to be worshipped instead of the Most High. All of them things, man. He fell victim to all of those. So this is where the correction had to come into play. Let me see. Go to let me see. I want to tell you if I want you to write down Sirach 4, or we're gonna go quick. Sirach chapter 4 and let's go there. Sirach 4, we're gonna read 20 down to 22.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verse 20. Observe the opportunity and beware of evil, and be not ashamed when it concerneth thy soul.
Now, see, that's what they missed out on. It said, observe the opportunity. Remember in James, it said, man, if there's a time to do good and you don't do it, to him, it's sin. Observing the opportunity and beware of evil. She wasn't bewaring of evil. She didn't realize the information, doctrinal information that was coming to her was learning about evil. He didn't understand it, and it said, and be not ashamed when it concerneth thy soul, because remember, bashfulness can destroy your soul. He didn't receive it. Adam didn't receive this either. He said, well, here's an opportunity now. Evil is coming to me. She just got to tell me she was dealing with another cat, and he was telling her about the knowledge of tree of good and evil that we aren't supposed to partake in. And she sitting back saying, honey, sit down. And you might be mad, I know, but listen, this is going to tell you, it's going to bring us up to a whole nother level. You think the Most High gave you dominion now? Wait till you hear this. And he's like, huh? What are you talking about? Now calm down here. Sit down here. And let me pour you something. Here. I made your favorite. Adam sitting back like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's right. Now listen to this. Now he should not be not ashamed when it concerns that soul. He should have been on point off the rip. Like, what? Who you were talking to? Where? You know damn well you was out of pocket for that. Where are they at? I need to go talk to them. That didn't happen, right? Read on.
For there is a shame that bringeth sin.
Right, and that's when they said their eyes was opened and they seen that they was naked. Because what do? They realized that they was in sin. They realized that they had transgressed. They realized that they had set themselves up idols and gods and imaginations in their head that now went against and separated them from the Most High. So now their eyes is bugged. They said their eyes is open. You see them cartoons and somebody's eyes bugged out where they like, oh, I'm in trouble. Oh, yeah, that's all they metaphorically was like, oh, snap, we're in trouble. Right? Finish that up to 22.
And there is a shame which is glory and grace. Accept no person against thy soul, and let not the reverence of any man cause thee to fall.
See, that's what ended up happening. She allowed the reverence and the company of this man to teach her and tell her information that was forbidden and restricted. And now the fall came into play, and she said, hey, I ain't going down alone. Adam, let me tell you about this. You coming down there with me. Let's get back over here to verse 7. One more time.
Book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
And the eyes of them were both open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
Right. So what did they do? They realized they were literally naked, and they said, hey, we got to cover up. This is ridiculous. We've been out here. No. They realized they were exposed, they were shameful, and they tried to cover up with a covering that wasn't of the Most High. Go to Isaiah 30. Verse 1.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord. Take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin.
You see that? They was covering up, but it wasn't a covering of the Most High. They decided to cover themselves up with understanding the doctrine. They was weaving together on their own, saying, hey, you know what? maybe this is the right thing to do now. Maybe we should add on to this with the understanding the Most High imparted on us, and we should be covered. The Most High should look down good on us, because now we know both good and evil. We're learning. Hey, Father, aren't you impressed? The Most High was like, that's not the covering I gave you. And guess what it's going to end up having you do? Continue on to sin, because the only thing you're supposed to know was the righteousness and truth. You didn't do it. Jump over to chapter 29, read verse 15.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark.
See, don't let the Most High, this between me and you. And anybody else got to know about this? We ain't going to tell nobody else, you know. But no, Most High said that you think that secret counsel, I don't hear it, I don't know about it. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark. That's what they were trying to do. They're sowing them fig leaves, they're trying to hide and cover up their sin and iniquity and their rebelliousness against the Most High. Go ahead.
And they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us?
See that? They thinking they high. They think they in the clear. You know, who? Ain't nobody see us. It was just us in there. Adam said, who else was out there? It was just me and him. He just told me about it. You sure? Nobody else seen you? No, it was just us.
Most High died 10,000 times.
10,000. Right. They think they hide from the Most High. That's for all. Like, we be thinking we slide and slick getting away with Most High. Like, there go my children, man. They think that's, you know, you catch your kids doing something, you like, did you do this on the third? No. You sure? Yeah. Okay. If I go back over there, I find this, that, and the third. No, hold on. You know, did you clean your room? Yeah. You go in there, man, everything thrown underneath the bed and everything else. They standing behind the bed like, yeah. You do clean up everything, pick up all the clothes off the floor. Thinking you slick. Yeah, we cleaned up. So if I look underneath that bed, I'm not gonna find nothing. Hold on, you might find some. Hold on. Go back out. I'll get, yeah. Most I'm like, I know you better than yourself. You I created you. You think come on. Most I'm like, you think you're hiding? That's not happening. Jump over to 2nd Ezra 7:3. We get one more precept and then we'll close out. I'll have to do a part 2.
Book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7, verse 3. And
3. Chapter 3. Watch 3 down to 7.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 3, verse 3. And my spirit was sore moved, so that I began to speak words full of fear to the Most High, and said, O Lord, who bearest rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. And thou leddest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward.
Okay, here's a key. Go ahead.
And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way.
Well, wait a minute now. I thought the commandments wasn't there. They didn't know anything. No, they got the commandment. To love thy way. We know that love is the keeping of the law. They was received. They got that. He got that. Read.
Which he transgressed.
Now he started sinning. Read.
And immediately thou appointest death in him, and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number.
Out of number, man. So because of that one instance, death came into all of us. Generation of them. Let me get one more in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1. And read verse 10. We'll read down.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 10. For the ear of jealousy heareth all things.
Oh, what was that itchy ear that she had? You know, scriptures even wasn't. Timothy says you're going to have men that's going to have itching ears. They want teachers going to teach them fables and all of that. You know, she got that itchy ear, huh? Jealousy. What? There's more to know and he ain't giving it to me? That ain't fair. Knowledge of good and evil, being like a God, immortal. I want all of it. Read.
For the ear of jealousy heareth all things.
And even him, Adam saying, well, you know more than me now. So you better put me on game. You're not gonna have a better advantage than me. I'm the head. I'm jealous. He got to you before me. Wow. Go ahead.
And the noise of murmurings is not hid.
See, the noise of murmurings is not hid. Did the back door complaining and everything else? Most I like that ain't hid. I hear it. Showing up the fig leaves, thinking you're hiding. Most I like I see it. Don't even trip. I always say the Most High is like the top federal agent. When he builds a case, he builds a case. You think Diddy's going through hell and his freak offs and baby oil exposures and everything? They like, man, we done had all of this. Snitches on record, everybody coming testifying, and most I like, man, wait till the books is open up on everybody and anybody that sit back saying, hey, I thought I got away with that one. No, you didn't. I let you get away with it so I can hold you accountable when the time is right. Fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power, man. Go ahead.
Therefore, beware of murmuring, which is unprofitable, and refrain your tongue from backbiting. For there is no word so secret that shall go forth, that shall go for naught. And the mouth that belieth slayeth the soul. Seek not death in the error of your life, and pull not upon yourselves destruction with the works of your hands.
So, side note, I let you know, man, the Most High is not happy with or condone suicide. Right? He said, seek not death in the error of your life, and pull not upon yourself destruction with the works of your hands. But remember, even the Most High told Eve, the day that you partake of this, you're going to die. She wasn't supposed to seek that. He told her, you ain't going to die. That means should have been on her mind even to think, well, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to see. Yeah, you took the bait. Read on.
For God made not death, neither hath he pleasure in the destruction of the living. For he created all things, that they might have their being.
Now, everybody has their being, their purpose on the earth, so forth and so on, right? We just happen to be the chosen, the elect above all nations. The other nations have their purpose and their being. They get their land, they get their allotment of land, so forth and so on, but their ultimate goal is to be beneath us, to serve us when necessary. We can utilize them for usury and servants and handmaids, so forth and so on, sell them dead, rotten meat if need be, do business with them, but that's their purpose. But the Lord said he created all things that they might have their being. Go ahead.
For God made not death, neither hath he pleasure in the destruction of the living, for he created all things that they might have their being, and the generations of the world were healthful, and there is no poison of destruction in them, nor the kingdom of death upon the earth.
Go ahead.
For righteousness is immortal.
That's how we're supposed to be made, man. When you start seeing, I think Adam died at like 986 years old or something like that. He wasn't supposed to. He was supposed to extend past 1,000 years and beyond. But because of that death came in, and then you see slowly but surely the lifespan of man continually deteriorated down to 120 years. Now it's down to 80 years. And now, you got Jake talking about, man, I'm happy to see 25 alive. That's how bad it's gotten. Read.
But ungodly men with their works and words called it to them.
Called death to them. There's power in words, man. They always talk about how Tupac prophesied his death. He used to always make about, I see death around the corner. And if I die tonight, and all these other songs, showed up at 25, he got put to death. And they should say, man, the reason why he worked so hard and put out so much music because he knew he was going to die young. Bullshit, hell, you keep talking about it. You keep involving yourself in situations that bring death into the circle. Damn right he's going to touch you eventually. It said, but ungodly men with their works and words called it to them. Go ahead.
For when they thought to have it their friend, they consumed to naught and made a covenant with it, because they are worthy to take part with it.
See that? Eve thought, hey, this is my friend. This guy brought forth good information. I didn't get seduced. I willingly participated. Yeah. You thought it was all good. She thought it was all good. Adam thought it was all good. And guess what? Death came into play, man, consumed tonight and made a covenant with it because they are worthy to take part with it. Most I said, you're going to get everything you asked for. I told you. I told you, you partake in this, you're going to get put to death. Death is going to, you may not get hit right away because she probably said, man, we're still living. I'm 986 years old. What? I thought he said we're going to die. You got kids here. Oh, your first death pops in, man, when your son gets killed by his brother. How tragic was that? You know, how painful could that be when you're like, oh, snap, is this what we're experiencing? Is this what happened? You know? So it's a cold game that we're playing. You got something?
Yeah.
What you got?
Proverbs 18:21.
Yeah, we're closing with that one. Proverbs 18:21. I'll do a part two. We already at almost 2 hours and 15 minutes. So and we only got the verse 8. So we got to do a part two. We'll follow up, and then I also do chapter 1 and 2 in the near future too. So we'll look for that. But you said Proverbs 18 verse 21. Read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof.
That's it right there, man. That's plain. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, man. You know, so that's why we always talk about, you know, like even when the scripture says, "A man thinketh so," you know, you want to kind of be conscious about what you're absorbing, what you're saying, what you're doing, because you speak on things too much, man. The Most High said, well, you keep talking about it, fine.
Yeah.
That's what you asking for. That's what you desire. That's what you know, that's why you get these people caught up in their occult witchcraft and summoning up spirits and demons and all kind of madness. And then next thing you know, because they're thinking, it's cool. Or, you know, if I summon up this, I talk about that, you know, I'm going to find some good out of it. No. The only thing the Most High said, if you love it, you're going to eat all the fruits thereof. And there ain't no fruit of death, you know. you might eat some bad or some poisonous fruit. But that's not literal. That means that the things that you speak about, you manifest. The Most High said, man, you're going to eat every ounce of it if that's what you seek. All right. So all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. We're going to close out. And yeah, that's it, man. Shabbat shalom to everybody. Everybody online, man, the water for tuning in, man. Share this video with your friends, family, relatives that's, you know, struggling with understanding about this chapter. And Lord willing, this edifying. But other than that, may y'all be well. Take care.